basketball has two ends of the floor, and a team that's finding out a lot about how you have to play both ends of the floor. This infuriates me, and this is probably Mark Cuban's worst decision. Probably his worst decision, making a team where he was like, let's get the player relations guy from Nike because he's buddy buddy with a lot of the players to be our GM. Boom, thinking outside of the box. Well, you went out there, you traded for Kyrie Irving, you gave up Dorian Finney-Smith, a first round pick, and Spencer Dinwiddie. So you gave up good defensive player, good guard that can play defense, come in the game, and I don't know, win you 2 games per series. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie consistently had 2 games in that series where he'd win you 2 games. You could have gone out there and paid Jalen Brunson, who's gonna try on defense, doesn't have an ego, won't destroy your locker room, and then everyone says Kyrie Irving's a great teammate. That's fine, but he also doesn't try on one end of the floor, and Luka doesn't try on one end of the floor either. So it's like you could have just kept Jalen Brunson in-house and been like, wow, he was giving the business to Steph, and why don't we just keep trying to build a team around Luka? Because anytime, and then Chris Broussard said this, Chris Mannix said this, Colin Cowherd said this, anytime they put the feelers out there, they're like, who would be the perfect star to go around along with Luka? You can't answer the question because Luka needs the ball in his hands the entire time. You need to put shooters around him, but Luka's not a guy that lends himself to playing with another star player. It's just not who he is. Luka can't play off the ball and he can't play defense. So bringing in Kyrie Irving, obviously that is going to be a disaster. I didn't like this trade when it came in. And then you go from the number 4 seed in the NBA or Western Conference with a 96% chance of making the playoffs to losing 8 of your last 9 games and being the 11th seed in the West. And oh yeah, you're about to play the Chicago Bulls, who are probably going to give you the business. And then you have to go up against the Atlanta Hawks, and you're pretty much eliminated from the playoffs. The Mavericks are not going to make the playoffs this year. They're not making the play-in tournament, and I don't want to hear Luka complaining about how it's not fun playing basketball anymore. It's like, oh, it's not fun that no one else on your team is playing defense for you. You do realize, oh, we brought Kyrie Irving now to take the scoring load off of Luka. Oh, can he play defense now? Because there's 2 ends of the court. I'm sick of these star players like, oh, yeah, I'm sick of losing. Like, well, how about you don't just score and you actually try on the other end of the floor, because then that'll give your team a better chance to win instead of just staring at a player go by you. Actually try and move your feet in front of him or guide him. It's like Luka doesn't try it all on defense. Kyrie doesn't try it all on defense. And when he does, Kyrie's like, I'm going to show the world and match up against Giannis in the playoffs. Like, no, this is a disaster. And Mark Cuban, I like Mark Cuban, but it's like this is probably his biggest business mistake and his biggest whiff of his career.
Yeah, I think you should take a breath and breathe.
I should take a breath. I'm ranting, but
take a sip.
Take a sip.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. You're going off everything you got to say. I mean, I was interested to see how it was going to go with Kyrie, but I also kind of knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, 2 guys who demand the ball, 2 guys who don't play defense, one of which is extreme, maybe the moodiest player of the last decade. I don't know if this is a recipe for success. He took a risk, gave up a decent bag for him, and this is what you get. This is the risk you take. Honestly, investing in Kyrie Irving with the Mavericks, it's kind of like investing in a penny stock. Because penny stocks, it's like, yes, there's a chance that you can make a shit ton of money. But more often than not, it's going to crash and burn, and you're going to lose everything. And look at what happened in Cleveland. Cleveland, after the title, after he had his 15 minutes of fame with LeBron, demanded, no, I need to go to Boston. So he goes to Boston, and for a minute, it's like, oh my God, soaring. They're going to be in the NBA Finals. They're going to beat LeBron. And then what happens? He absolutely nukes the locker room. It takes them not a season. It takes them years to recover that chemistry. It literally destroys. And I still think there's some chemistry tensions in the locker room that's given. And then he goes to Brooklyn. Need I say more about Brooklyn? I mean, good Lord. one of the biggest failures in NBA history as far as super teams. Might have actually ended the super team era.
Probably, yeah.
We've talked about it at length. Might have ruined the super team era. Then you go to Dallas, the 4 seed. At this point, you'd be facing the Clippers, who I think they probably could have made some noise with. So now you are out of the playoffs. You destroyed the Mavericks, who were right there competing with the Warriors last season. And now this is what you get. It's like, yes, at the very point, yes, you are a millionaire. But at any given point, you're back to being broke with Kyrie Irving.
And Luka's gone.
And Luka's gone. Luka, he's going to sign somewhere else. The Mavericks, they're going to have no talent. They're going to have to tank and suck and try to get another Luka Doncic. Good luck finding another Luka Doncic.
Yeah, y'all gave up your first round pick for Kyrie too. So it's like not only that, so you don't have your pick this year. And then with Luka, it's like he's literally coming out and saying how he's not having fun anymore. He's not having fun playing basketball. And it's like, I don't know if that's with Kyrie Irving, but anytime they're in a one possession game, it's been an absolute disaster because Luka doesn't know if he's going to take it. And Kyrie Irving is fine just taking it. So Luka is like de facto deferring for Kyrie to make him feel welcome. But that's the same issue LeBron had with D Wade. And D Wade had to tell him, no, go ahead and take over. But this team can't play defense. It was poorly constructed. And then Christian Wood is your center, but he's an undersized guy. He's not very heavy, so he doesn't have too much weight to him. Jokic, all these guys, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, are just going to bully him in the post. And the fact that Dallas is to the point where we're excited when Maxi Kleber's coming back. Maxi Kleber's a good player. I like Maxi Kleber a lot. Good 3-and-D guy. Played hard in the playoffs last year. Was a key to their success, but he can't be the reason why your season's going to turn around and then you don't have a chance to make the playoffs. You can, but you can't play enough defense. And DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine are pretty much going to wrap up your season.
Yeah.
And you can't defend anybody. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like Luka's going to leave. I don't know where he's a great fit. I don't want to get into that now. And I'll get into that as soon as the Dallas Mavericks miss the playoffs. Because if you miss the playoffs with the de facto MVP favorite coming into the season this year, what are we doing here? You had a
Yeah.
96% chance of making the playoffs before Kyrie. After Kyrie, it's at 11%.
Yeah, that's extremely bad. But yeah, it's conference starts next week. We're gonna know the seedings, so we'll know exactly what's going on there.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to talk about was the the NCAA women's national title,
Oh, this is
because
hilarious.
this